the webinar. Namaste, everyone. A warm welcome to you all. Asia's Linear Infrastructure Safeguarding Nature Align, in collaboration with Global Tiger Forum, would like to welcome you all for part 6 of the webinar series on safeguarding nature in Tiger Range countries. I'm Ridhima Solanki, Public Sector Partnership Coordinator from WWF India. I'm joined by Mr. Mohnish Kapoor, Head Program and Partnership from Global Tiger Forum, and Mr. Pramod Neopani, Lead Align for WWF India. Each webinar in this series focused on Tiger Range country, that is Malaysia, Nepal, Bhutan, India, Thailand, and now Indonesia. The speakers were representatives from ministry and financial institutes, where experts provided insights on safeguard for nature while developing linear infrastructure and at the same time discussing about tiger conservation. The previous webinars are available on the Align page of WWF India and on WWF India YouTube channel. In the current webinar, we have two speakers. The question and answer session will happen in the end of the webinar. Kindly pose your question in the chat box, which can be undertaken post-presentations. With this, I would like to invite opening remarks from Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Secretary General, Global Tiger Forum. A globally renowned conservation leader with more than 4 decades of experience on wildlife management, he led the tiger turnaround efforts in India. Dr. Gopal has been responsible for institutionalizing the tiger agenda in the country, including the formation of National Tiger Conservation Authority, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, and coordinating the countrywide assessment of tiger status. He has authored 3 major books on wildlife and tiger and also chairs the Project Cheetah Steering Committee, apart from chairing the Training Research Advisory Committee, track of the Wildlife Institute of India. Can we play the recording of the opening remark from Sir, please?
Dear participants, it's great to be with you virtually. To start with, I appreciate Indonesia, my colleagues from that important tiger range country, where many things have happened on the tiger front, and also in the context of other endangered wild animals. The Sumatran tiger is safe and secure only in Indonesia, and the credit goes to the untiring efforts of the country. Indonesia took a lot of efforts and participated actively in shaping the GTRP 2.0, a newer version, about which we are going to discuss in the context of smart green infrastructure. Today's webinar is the last of a series collaboratively being organized by WWF, USAID, and of course GTF is facilitating. This is very important, and the interactions which happen here form part of the tiger agenda. You need to have smart green infrastructure, either in the form of proactive envisioning or retrofittings, so that you can have climate smart development while addressing the agenda of in situ big cats like the tiger. So many good things have happened in South Asian countries as well as Southeast Asian countries, including Indonesia, Malaysia, to name a few. So it's a good thing to hear from you on the smart green infrastructures which are in place and which are in the offing, so that others can build on these good practices as suited to them. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all the best and see you again. Thank you.
Thank you for the opening remarks, sir. I would like to invite Mr. Monish Kapoor to introduce the speakers as well as Tiger Range Country.
Thank you, Ridhima, and it is my privilege to introduce this important tiger range country which harbors the most famous Sumatran tiger. And so much of efforts have happened across various tiger range countries, and Indonesia has been the forefront of tiger conservation efforts as well as sustainable forestry. Uh, so without taking more time, I would like to introduce Mr. Nunu Anugrah, who is the Director of Biodiversity Conservation of Species and Genetics. He has previously served as the Head of Public Relations Bureau, Kalimantan Ecoregion Development Management Bureau, Subdirectorate of Species Utilization, South Sumatra BKSDA, Subdirectorate of Conservation and Hunting Agency, and several policy products that have been produced during his tenure at the Ministry of Forestry include the implementation of the ISO 9001-2000 quality management system at the Directorate of KKH in 2007, the process of determining the functions of 6 KPAs in the Bangka Belitung Islands from 2015 to 2016. We just heard that Sir had to leave for an urgent meeting at the National Armed Forces Office. So on behalf of Sir, I invite Ms. Badia Said, who is the Deputy Director of Genetics and Species Preservation, and also has been serving as the GTF focal point for Indonesia. We welcome you, ma'am, and on behalf of WWF, USAID, and the Global Tiger Forum, it will be a privilege for all of us to hear about the efforts taken by Indonesia on the tiger front.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank you to GTF who invited representative of Ministry of Forestry as a focal point of GTF to join as speaker in this webinar series. Pak Nunu, my director, sends his apologies and allow me to make a presentation on his behalf. Allow me to share screen, please. Already seen my presentation? Okay. This afternoon, I would like to sharing tiger conservation status in Indonesia at webinar series on safeguarding nature in tiger range state. As we know that Indonesia is archipelagic country located within the tropical rainforest biome. It is resulting in high species richness and endemism. Due to the vast biodiversity, the government has a strong commitment to protecting and conserving this biodiversity by designating nature reserve and nature protected area. Now we have 578 unit of protected area and almost 27 million hectares. And we also have a international status for the World Heritage Site and also Biosphere Reserve and Ramsar Site and ASEAN Heritage Park also. Overall, Indonesia has a three of seven tiger species in the world, and Bali tiger and Javan tiger already declared extinct when 1940 and 1980 for Javan tiger. The remain of the tiger species in Indonesia is Sumatran tigers, which inhabitant in Sumatra Island. Indonesia, overall, we has 9 wildcat species, including the Sumatran tiger and Javan leopard, which are classified as critically endangered according to the IUCN Red List. Indonesia once posted 3 of 7 tiger, and then the Sumatran tiger inhabited in the Sumatran island. According to the National Strategic and Action Plan, we have 23 Sumatran tiger conservation landscape in Indonesia along the Sumatran island. You can see along the Sumatra, we have 23 Sumatran tiger conservation landscape. The Global Tiger Initiative since 2010 have a tiger recovery program, and we have 3 priority action, replicating the specialist tiger law enforcement and conflict mitigation unit able to protect tiger and prey population, and creating a Sumatran white tiger adaptive management system based on robust monitoring of tiger, their prey, and effective management intervention. And priority action third is creating a legal basis to protect tiger habitat outside of protected areas in implementing this within and between the priority tiger landscape. A long-term strategic goal is tiger population in priority landscape increased by 100% with occupancy in certain priority landscape. And we under the 23 tiger conservation landscape, within the tiger recovery program, we choose 6 priority landscape: Bukit Barisan Selatan, Kerinci Seblat, Bukit 30, Kampar Kerumutan, Berbak, and also Lesser Ulu Masen. Since the Global Tiger Recovery Program was launched, Indonesia has received foreign grant from the GEF, which we call the Tiger Project, implemented by the Indonesian government in collaboration with UNDP. One of its priority action was the Sumatran White Tiger Survey, which took place from 2015 until 2019. Based on the data analysis conducted, we have around approximately for the tiger population 586 individual in along the Sumatran island. The issues of challenges of tiger recovery program habitat degradation and loss, and also we face poaching and illegal trade, encroachment, and also doom population and disease threat, demography crisis in ex situ breeding, and also low genetic diversity in ex situ facilities or zoo. Lack of local awareness and research, and sustainable financing. As I mentioned earlier, Sumatran's tigers do not only inhabit in protected areas, but also exist outside protected areas, such as protection forest, production forest, and even a small portion in other designated areas. This is why human-tiger conflict often occur in buffer zone of protected areas, also in production forests and protection forests, where local people surrounding engage in activities such as farming, raise livestock, and even research for some workers from production forests. Data on human Sumatran tiger conflict over the past 5 years shows that average around 100 conflict cases per year, primarily in Aceh, Riau, North Sumatra, Bukit Barisan Selatan, Lampung, and Bengkulu. Human tiger conflict are also suspected to be stimulated by the outbreak of African swine fever, which has affected not only domestic pig but also wild boars, leading to decline in prey availability for Sumatran tigers. Some confirm location affected by African swine fever in Sumatra included Riau, South Sumatra, and Lampung during 2021 until 22. Several Sumatran tiger also in a rehabilitation center or rescue center have been indicated to be infected with canine distemper virus or CDV, which I believe require our attention, especially regarding health management in rehabilitation or rescue center to ensure they are fit for release. Additionally, health monitoring in zoos is crucial for successful breeding. Yeah, from 2017 to 2025, we have successfully rehabilitated Sumatran tiger and ready to release 25 Sumatran tiger from human tiger conflict. To increase the population of the Sumatran tiger, we also have a global species management plan program through cooperative breeding between zoos. And now population in zoos around 76 individual with 36 males and 40 females distributed in around 13 zoos that recommend to be breed in the zoos. But we also have democratic problem because in imbalancing between male and female and imbalancing between productive age. So it is a challenge to success the breed in the zoos. But however, it is good news that Indonesia already submit National Biodiversity Strategic and Action Plan to the CBD Secretariat. We became 14 country who already submit the National Biodiversity Strategic and Action Plan. The IPSAP, Indonesian Biodiversity Strategic Action Plan, we designated as a guide for biodiversity management, including tiger conservation. And the good news is the IPSAP already integrated in the long-term national development plan 2025 until 2045. This is the strategic and action plan of Sumatran tiger management in Indonesia. This is still in the draft, but in a close time, we will be designated as a guidance for the tiger conservation in Indonesia. We have around 12 strategic direction such as increase Sumatran tiger conservation capacity through strengthening research exploration, knowledge management, and education training, improve the effectiveness of Sumatran tiger landscape management, strengthen protection of Sumatran tiger from habitat destruction, poaching, and conflict through strengthening site, task force, and the effectiveness of patrol and law enforcement, develop Sumatran tiger conservation network and constituents, and partnership pattern that provide benefit, increase support, and added value to the lives of communities and parties. Also strengthen infrastructure and rescue system for problematic Sumatran tiger and threatened population, increase permeability and connectivity between habitat cluster in fragmented habitat, and increase Sumatran tiger conservation capacity through strengthening research, exploration, knowledge management, and education, improve the effectiveness of Sumatran tiger landscape management, and strengthening protection of Sumatran tiger from habitat destruction, poaching, and through strengthening site task force and the effectiveness of patrol. This is the implementation of tiger conservation strategy. The government already strengthened the regulation to manage the connectivity of the ecosystem or habitat tiger, with declare the new law such as the law of number 32 of 2024 that conservation efforts are carried out not only in protected area but also in OECM, we call preservation area, and also Ministry of Environment and Forestry already give instruction number 1 concerning protection of wildlife from the threat of trapping and poaching inside and outside forest area, and also Presidential Instruction number 1 2023 on mainstreaming biodiversity conservation in sustainable development. We also doing the habitat restoration, maintaining the integrity and ecosystem connectivitas, and then enhancing protection for the remaining Sumatran tiger habitat, and also human wildlife conflict management, enhancing ex situ breeding, and encourage the stakeholder participant to maintain and protect the population and its habitats. The government already established investment plan for biodiversity conservation for sustainable financing also. This is when we talk about connectivity of the tiger habitats, the government also have many regulation to mainstreaming biodiversity conservation to sustainable development. Every planning development must be preceded by a strategic environmental assessment first. And then we also have government regulation that all business permit must meet three basic permit. One is a spatial utilization suitability permit, and then environmental permit, and then building development permit. And we also strengthen between status of the forest when tiger in habitat there. So Ministry of Environment instruction protection of wildlife species from snaring and poaching activities inside and outside forest areas must be conducted. Yeah. And then mainstreaming, we also mandate to many sectors and also local government to pay attention that the developments must be pay attention for the biodiversity protection. And as I mentioned before, that the law number 32 2024 regarding the amendment of law number 5 1990 said that the conservation must be conducted not only in protected area, but also in another area which have a high value of biodiversity, including the corridor of tiger. To manage the tiger-human conflict, we also have a roadmap that we have for management, wildlife management. We enhance the patrol and monitoring and prey management, also disease management or health carry out. And then for the habitat sparation, we also doing the habitat restoration, and also we have a barrier natural. Livestock and cultivation, we raise the capacity of the local community to involve in protection their livestock and guarding, and improve management of husbandry, like disposal of carcass and tiger-proof enclosure. Human governance, we strengthen the law and policies to protect the tiger, and also give the access proper for the local community to have alternative income or benefit, so they can take care the tiger habitat. And then participation, collaboration, and stakeholder engagement, and also planning and evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that insightful presentation and the efforts taken by Indonesia. And we also congratulate the country on completing its IBSAP, which of course is a guiding document for any country going forward in these times where development overpass conservation in more than one way. So heartiest congratulations on that. And we'll talk more, of course, when we are doing the GTRP consultations, which are to begin soon, starting next month. But I'm sure many of our participants would have questions, but we'll take that after the second presentation. So thank you again, ma'am. So our second speaker of the day, Mr. Andre Hansen Sirigar, is the head of administration on Riau Conservation of Natural Resources Agency. And he possesses over 32 years of experience in conservation and natural resource management. He has previously served as the head of the National Park Agency, head of regional divisions 1 and 3, local expert assistant for tripartite cooperation, NORAD, Norway, Ministry of Environment, Republic of Indonesia, and the third party being the Department of Forestry, Indonesia. He has also served in the famous protected areas such as the Gunung Leuser, Bukit Tegapulu, and Telix Cendrawasih. Some of them we heard in ma'am's presentation. He is an alumni of the Gadjah Mada University, where he completed both his bachelor's and master's degree on forestry. And he's going to talk about this important topic on green infrastructure safeguards and how Indonesia is using some of the pilot actions on this front. Welcome, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much about you invite me to webinar now. I want to speak about construction of wildlife crossing for safeguarding wildlife movement. This presentation, especially case study of underpass construction for Sumatra Elephant Crossing on Kanbaru to Dumai Toll Road. We speak about Elephant because the same do it to the same done to tiger, Sumatran tiger, because we need about 20 unit protected area, and there was implement fragmented. Yeah. That is and function the original officer for natural resource conservation uh, about 400 three 400,000 to to 154.79 hectares. We carried out the implementation of conservation of natural resources, and the ecosystem is in nature reserve, wildlife sanctuaries, a nature tourism park, and hunting park. Conservation of ecosystem, species and genetic biodiversity, and technical coordination of forest park management and essential ecosystem areas or areas with high conservation value in accordance with the province of the law. Thanks. Next. Yeah. Uh, Condition of Sumatra elephant population inclusion in Riau province. We have about 8 subpopulation. all of them, Mahato Barumun, to Rokan Hilir, and Balai Raja, Giamsia Kecil, Petapahan, Orminas, Teso Utara, Teso Tenggara, and Batang Ulak. The same sub population, same with Sumatran tiger, because distribution of Sumatran tiger located in the same in the protected area, same like elephants, Sumatra elephants, because we need to speak about contraction, and we have only case study for elephants, Sumatra elephants. Next. Plan access to Pekanbaru City to Dumai toll route with elephant population. Number one, closest distance of toll plan to Balai Raja protected area about 65 meters. And two, there are 11 subspecies living in subpopulation. Excuse me. There are 6 elephants living in population of Balai Raja in 2018. Three, there are more 42 elephants that move routinely from Balai Raja to Giamsia Kecil protected area. Next. This one about what are the steps taken for this plan, about contraction road in to make behind protected area. Step one, we don't do elephant movement analysis, and then we check and conduct field analysis, and then we make a focus the group discussion in all stakeholders, and then we check it 11 underpass location, determination, and specification. Next. Yeah. This one about line of toll road. Pekanbaru City until to Dumai City. The violet color is protected area. Balai Raja protected area. The construction road behind this protected area, and this yellow blank is a distribution of Sumatran elephant and Sumatran tiger, and then this route become too fragmented this location. Next. Yeah, this is sections of toll road. We have 5 sections of toll road, and then this all of them is to make crossing about wildlife, include Sumatran tiger. Next, yeah, 11 underpass location and design. This is you can see about underpass in the Minas section. We can see wildlife 11 cross this section in underpass, and this one to make the wildlife can crossing in the underpass. Behind that, we can see about contraction in the toll road. Next. Yeah, and this one a contraction in the toll road, but Sumatran 11 crossing, building design of the underpass of toll road. Next. This one too. Next. Yeah. The effectiveness of 11 crossing is me. Aduh. This one jaringan agak rusak. Yeah, effectiveness of 11 crossing usage number one recorded 11 crossing not using underpass from CCTV data and a public report more 5 times and 11 moving crossing over toll road. And 2 recorded from GPS color monitoring 11 crossing 5 times passing underpass. Next. And this video one case about elephants crossing in the road. You can see, yeah, the elephants cross okay, this one underpass crossing elephants. Okay, next. Yeah. Next program, we have four program. Number one, optimization of the construction of a study barrier. 2, underpass modification to become more attracting relevant to enter. 3, fit enrichment on the route to and from the underpass. 4, formation of a mitigation team that will help the elephants when the elephants approach the toll road. Next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hanson and Badia. Wonderful presentation. And I think we can take up first question, which is already on the question and answer box. This is being posed to Ms. Badia. Is captivating of Sumatran tigers to protect them from infections a bane on their wilderness? Once released in wild, does the threat of infection still linger even though they are vaccinated? Would you like to take up this question, ma'am?
Okay. Uh, Basically, we do not capture tigers in the wild to protect them from infection. What we have encountered are Sumatran tiger uh, who involved in the human-wildlife conflict, which we then rescue. After being treated in a rehabilitation center or rescue center, we found that some of the tiger to be infected with CDV, preventing their immediate release. The treatment for Sumatran tigers only involve providing supplementary food and vitamin to help eliminate the virus. Yeah, we have never conducting vaccination for the tiger in the wild. Mm, as you may know that we require that Sumatran tiger to be released must be in good health and also have a wide behavior to ensure that their survival and reproduction in the wild could be work well. With good forest condition and sufficient prey availability, we have not encountered any cases of Sumatran tigers contracting CDV in the wild. Uh, I think this my answer.
Thank
This
you, thank you. Yeah, that has answered. Before I leave you, I have one question for you also, because uh, by your presentation you showed that there are a lot of protected areas, but they are separate, fragmented in separate places. And you also mentioned the challenges like diseases and conflict due to tiger being in the protection production forest. Um, do you think the challenge of rising sea level and the flooding, as well as the invasive plant introduction, is also one of the major challenge for conserving the habitat of tiger in Indonesia?
Yes, I think it is also one of the threat, yeah, of the tiger habitats. But as I said before, that uh, in National Development Planning 2025, we already put the action plan regarding to connect and integrated the ecosystem. And I think the fresh law, yeah, number 32 mandate that we engage the private sector and also local government to pay attention the connectivity of the habitat. Uh, and we also put the manual to mitigate the invasive species. And it is, I think, one of the KPI of the national development planning on biodiversity conservation. Uh, Regarding the rise of the sea level, uh, since some of the tiger prefer to live in the uh, gambut itu apa? Peatland,
Metro?
yeah,
Okay.
peatland and
Mm,
also mangrove. I
mm,
think we must anticipate the sea level by the rehabilitation of the peatland, and also we doing rehabilitation mangrove, so we can avoid the habitat destruction for the tigers in the peatland and also in the mangrove.
Thank you. Thank you, Vidya. And with that, what you were mentioning about the connectivity, I would also like to ask Hansen the same question regarding we are seeing a lot of eco-friendly overpasses for elephants, but these connectivities are also looked into other carnivore habitat, and those projects are also undertaken where probably a smaller intervention, a smaller underpass, overpass is also being thought for the other animals rather than only elephant or, in general, the connectivity of the forest. Anson, can you discuss on that, please?
Yes, I do. Okay, Sumatran elephants and another herbivore include Sumatran tiger. Uh, we make do we make don't about them because uh, for the presidential instruction about Ms. Badia is we implemented to the wildlife because as presidential instruction number 1 in 2023 uh, about mainstreaming for wildlife to uh, all development in my country. And we have uh, Sumatran tiger in the wetland, and all of them good. Uh, uh, as Miss Badia said about many conflict, human and uh, Sumatran tiger conflict, uh, um, and human and elephant conflict, all of, about deployment in my country, and then uh, we president to uh, make instruction about it. Uh, we have to implement it that. Yeah.
So, as I understand, the management plans are already in. Sorry, Badia, you are saying something. You're on
Yeah.
mute. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I can hear.
So, I have understood that a lot of management plans are also to conserve these areas and connect these areas further. Hansen, you may have one more question for you in the chat box. What is the normal height of underpass for elephants in Sumatra? Height for underpass.
Yeah. We we see about uh, berapa about by CCTV, all of them to crossing, yeah, normal, and only one individual is a chodet. We call chodet. Uh, it have a cross in the route, main route. As we see about the recorded in video, you can see. Yeah, maybe you can to play it again. Yeah.
Wait,
Nggak bisa ya? Nggak bisa. Ah ya. Okay. Yeah, this one. Yeah, yeah, you can. Now, this individual we call Codet. Only this one crossing in a toll road, but maybe this individual was apa namanya, sedang apa mas sedang apa? Birahi apa mbak ya? Ya,
Mos.
ya, most, yeah, most. Yeah, the male elephants, yeah, is have a crossing about in main road. This case in 2022 until 2024, only one case.
thank you. And I think you can see the question and answer it in the chat box, or I can read it for you. How effective have GPS collars been in tracking the movement and behavior of elephants in Indonesia? Are they providing the data needed for successful conservation strategy? So the question is for the GPS collars for tracking the movement of
Yeah.
animal. Yes.
Yeah, I think very effective GPS collar in elephants because uh, many tricks we can do uh, to anticipation. We can get information about two early warning, and then we can uh, say about information to the village and about the stakeholder surrounded in the vicinity of Sumatran elephants. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think these were the questions posed to you, and we have, I think, two questions for Badia again, if she can answer. How is the success of Sumatran tiger breeding program monitored, and what recent result or achievement have been reported?
Within under the Global Species Management Plan program, the tiger breeding, we monitor one period of the breeding is 18 months per one period. Per period, and then we analyze the the successful of breeding. But now, until now, we already have three prior breeding cooperative in the zoos. But we haven't yet said that it is successful. Many corrective action will doing for the next recommendation of the global species management plan, and we hope that the breeding will be more successfully in the next period.
Thank you, Vidya. I think we will be having one more session soon. Next year, for that only, we can have a discussion over there, and it will be successful, definitely. One more last question. I think you have kind of answered, but still, I would like to pose it to you. Has there been a positive trend in the population of Sumatran tigers as a number of action plans are being implemented? So Badia as well as Hansen both can complement this question. Thank you.
Yeah. The number of the tiger population, we now still analyze the data from the Sumatran white tiger survey, also with genetic analysis. We need the analysis to finalize the strategic and action plan of tiger conservation, and we haven't yet said that the number of population tiger rise, but we we indicate that the population of Sumatran tiger stable around 486. But we hope that we can analyze and can found positive impact of the action plan. However, many action plan like strengthen the regulation, and also now we have engagement as a private sector engagement, and the next week we also doing the private sector engagement in the tiger and elephant protection. I think many impact will be found, and positive impact that private sector also respond positively.
Thank you, Vidya. Hansen, would you like to add something on this front?
Yeah, we have any action plan about to safeguard Sumatran tiger and another herbivore protected herbivore, and uh, as presidential instruction, uh, all of stakeholders have to uh, responsibility about the wildlife tiger, wildlife elephant, and another uh, wildlife. And we stranger about wildlife rescue unit in the uh, any location are conflict, human conflict and human tiger conflict. And then in private sector about the concession, yeah, they are responsive to protected Sumatran tiger, elephant, wildlife elephant, and then etc. Yeah. Um, and next time we optimize uh, to construction sector. If they want to build about construction and infrastructure, uh, they are coordinated with our office, and then we discuss uh, about plan to build infrastructure and construction. I think that.
Thank you so much, and we do look forward for a more tiger habitat, integrated tiger habitat in Indonesia in coming future. And we will be very sure that definitely GTF will be organizing some of these webinar in future for discussing that front also. I'm so thankful. GTF and WWF India is so thankful to both of you to take out time and explain so beautifully about Indonesia and tiger conservation as well as eco-friendly infrastructure in the country. I know we cannot take right now any more questions because it is already very late for you, lunchtime. So we will be saying our goodbyes right for now and till we meet again for another webinar, interesting webinar. Any comments from Mohnish Kapoor?
Thank you, Dr. Ridhima. And again, I thank both the speakers for joining this important webinar. And I'm sure we will be speaking soon in the GTRP consultations as well. And I've also shared an Asian elephant handbook for smart green infrastructure in the chat box for anybody interested. And it will also showcase what work has been done, plus some of the examples, and may also sort some of these questions. I also thank our Secretary General, Dr. Rajesh Gopal, for his leadership and immense support to this entire webinar series, and hundreds of participants who have been with us throughout this series. And again, taking this opportunity to thank both WWF and USAID for partnering with the Global Tiger Forum. And we look forward to more such collaborations soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Redima and Muniz, and also the committee from GTF and WWF and WWF. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Badia. Thank you, Mrs. Selansky. Thank you, Mr. Kapoor.
Thank you.
See you again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Closing, Mbak. Left.